Hey, I'm Steven with Cooking Different, and today I'm going to show you how to build a cheap rocket stove that uses biomass, in other words, yard debris, sticks, twigs, pine cones, all that good stuff as fuel, and we can do it on the cheap. This project's going to cost about $4, and the stove will last a very long time, if not indefinitely, so stay with me. To build this stove, we're going to need a 5-gallon bucket, just an old cheapie will do, preferably one that you don't really care too much about because it's going to be ruined after we're done, and some concrete, and any kind of old PVC pipe that you have laying around, preferably a 4-inch one. Now we use the pipe and draw a circle around it to get a template to draw a hole into the bucket, which I'll show you how that works in just a second. Now we can draw a circle on the plastic bucket so we'll know where we need to cut out. Now we have the front elbow put into the bucket, as you can see here, and then now the next piece will fit over this way to form a 90-degree angle, and this will be the burn chamber. This is where we'll be putting the sticks and twigs and all that good stuff in through the front here, and the heat will come out the top. Now we've filled up the bottom of the bucket, and this will be the base of the stove once we're done. And now that we have that, the bottom part filled, now we'll put the elbow back in and continue to bring up the concrete through the top. So now that we got the bucket about halfway full of concrete and the elbow's in place and everything stands properly all by itself, we'll add some water in there because this is a quick setting concrete. And what we'll do is we'll let that water permeate a little bit, and then we'll continue rising up to the top and then add some more water. I just exhausted the first 50-pound bag of cement, and we're not up to the top, which means we're going to have to break them in another bag of cement. And the first one was 50 pounds, so this thing's going to end up being 60 or 70 pounds, so it's not going to be a light setup, but definitely durable. And that's where we are for now. We've got the whole thing filled up. And I'm going to wait about an hour for it to set up a little bit. Then I'll remove this piece and that piece and then continue to let it dry. So I let the stove cure overnight and let it set up and harden a little bit. Let's see what we got. Looks pretty solid. The next thing we have to do is get the stove out of the 5-gallon bucket. And there's the stove without the 5-gallon bucket on it. It came out pretty good. One of the benefits of rocket stoves are typically that they don't smoke very much. The reason this one's smoking is that we've used a lot of wet wood from the ground last night because it rained. But once it gets up to speed and gets up to heat, you won't see as much smoke. I'm just placing towel around the edge right here as a kind of a podium for the pot that we'll be cooking on. And for this kind of cooking, you never can go wrong with a good old cast iron skillet. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but one of the other good things about this type of stove is that air is sucked in through the bottom which allows the fire to keep breathing, and then it comes out the top. And that keeps your fire super hot. And then another good thing about this type of cooking is that you only use a super small amount of wood, just twigs as you can find from the ground, or chopped up larger pieces of wood that you've turned into kindling. And so this way you can stretch your wood much farther if you want to use this type of cooking on a day-to-day basis, which I love to do. Once you get your initial fire started, you can feed it through the top and through the bottom. Then you can just kind of start taking longer twigs and just kind of start feeding them in there. And as they get burned up, you just push them in. If for some reason while you're cooking and the flames decide they want to go down on you, which hasn't happened in this case, but just as to demonstrate to you, you can just give it a nice steady little blow and it'll act almost as a forge and heat things up and get the flame back going. And that's how you make a rocket stove made from a concrete mold that we used from a 5-gallon bucket. Total project cost was about $6, and assuming you never drop it from a nice height, it should probably last a lifetime because it's pure concrete. I've seen where other people use vermiculite or perlite mixed in within the concrete itself to help insulate heat, but to be honest, I don't see the point in that, because by the time you cook yourself a meal, there's no way it'll get up to heat in the first place. So that's how you do it. $6. It's a good little project. Go out and try it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.